We're here at the World Economic Forum in Davos, where the key theme is the fourth industrial revolution. But we're representing a different camp that thinks perhaps the whole idea is a little overhyped. Martin, I have to confess that a few years ago, I completely bought into the idea of the post-scarcity environment. I was drinking the Kool-Aid. How and why do you think non-economists like myself go wrong on this?
Well, first of all, it's very seductive. And let's be clear, the technological changes we've seen in the last 2 decades are very exciting, very interesting, and have had really quite an important effect on the economy. Just think of the growth of the smartphone, the number of people using mobile phones, the growth of the internet, and now robotics. These are real things. But what people don't understand, because we're always so excited about what we experience now, and we forget the past, most people don't know that much about the past, is we've had at least equally exciting periods in the past. We've built our current economy on those incredibly exciting technologies of the past, and now we've got a new one. And the question we have to ask, is it going to transform our now much bigger economy, much more complex economy, as profoundly as electricity did, for example, or the internal combustion engine, or the jet plane? These were giant changes. And my answer to that is, if you look at it carefully, the analysis of the evidence shows very clearly it's not having this transformational effect. It's seriously overhyped.
So one of the things that really made me change my mind was the argument put forward by Robert Gordon, the economist. He always presents the question of what would you rather have, an iPhone or indoor plumbing? And when I thought about it, the answer was pretty clear. Indoor plumbing, obviously.
Yeah.
So
Clean water.
exactly. So, could you break down perhaps why it is that the new technologies are not really adding to the economy in the same way?
Well, first of all, it is important just to observe what we are seeing, which is rather disturbing, actually. Productivity growth, the best measure we have of overall improvements in our efficiency, our ability to produce goods and services, has collapsed. It's incredibly low now in the developed world, so there's something to worry about. Now, there's an argument against this that we are doing worse at measuring GDP than we used to, but the counter-argument is that's very implausible because we've always had this problem of measuring new technologies, so what we're seeing is no really big impact. And that then leads you to ask the question of why? Why aren't these technologies having the impact they should? I think there are a few very important reasons. First, you have to remember most of our economy consists of services which are actually very difficult to change with robotics. Looking after children, in hospitals, in old age care. These are huge. And finally, just remember, I think the fourth industrial revolution is just part of the third, which is the computing age. The computing age started in the 50s, so it's now 65 years old. This is just a continuation of the digital economy, which started with the computer. It's already had huge effects. I mean, armies of clerks disappeared when they brought in the mainframe. Now, so these are things on top of that. They're important, but we mustn't exaggerate their significance because we forgot the past.
And absolutely, so flying cars and all that, it's all very nice, but they're on a marginal basis. They don't really change our lives that much, do they?
Well, one of Robert Gordon's better points is, yes, self-driving cars are an exciting thing, but they're nowhere nearly as important as cars. You know, cars already solving. We've had the same jet planes, effectively the same jet planes now for 50 years. So there are whole areas of our technology, of our economy, which are really changing glacially slowly. The health system is a disaster from this point of view. So yes, Amazon's very thrilling. It's clearly more efficient than Walmart. It's not that in this use of this technology, but it's not that dramatically more efficient. I think we just have to put this in context. There is one other point, is in addition to having this low productivity growth, to the extent that technology is affecting us, it is having some quite dangerous effects. It's supporting the build-up of incredibly hyperactive financial markets. It's making inequality worse. It's clearly a factor there. The relatively good jobs people used to have in manufacturing and so forth, for people with high school degrees, they are disappearing, partly because of trade imports from lower wage countries and in the developed countries, and partly because of technology. So because of this, wealth seems to be being concentrated, income seems to be being concentrated, but we aren't generating the sort of massive improvements in consumer welfare that came with the electric car, the washing machine, the refrigerator. So we might be getting a bit of the worst of both worlds, and that is really rather a worrying situation.
Thank you so much, Martin. That's all from us here at Davos for now, where we're going to enjoy our very much human-made coffees.